So today's video, we are going to talk about tips that Kim Kardashian's makeup artist is given. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
So these are 6 of his tips that he's given that make Kim basically look super flawless.
Literally
all the time.
Flawless. Like, how does she look so amazing all the time? There are certain techniques that maybe you're familiar with, but some that we even weren't familiar with. So we literally did an entire face of makeup, and we're going to show you guys and tell you guys all about his tips.
All right, his first tip is concealer. Do you want to know what about concealer?
What about it, Nora?
So he says a few things. He says that when it comes to concealer, apply it before foundation. I was mind blown.
Nora was really blown away by this. I actually did this method a few years ago. I didn't realize there was anything to it, and then I just eventually switched to foundation first. I don't know.
When you apply concealer before your foundation, it basically gives you more of a flawless look and like an even skin tone look versus your eyes being super bright, your skin being a different color. So it kind of makes it look all like it's supposed
uniform,
to.
Yeah.
And Ani and I actually have that method. We'll go into our tutorial after we discuss Mario's methods. Basically, we used every single method he said. So
and another thing that he suggests is both with concealer and with foundation is you should be mixing 2 colors minimum, because no one person is exactly one color, and blending a series of colors will help you achieve like the most perfect skin tone.
Exactly. That's another thing I actually didn't do is mixing concealers.
I mean, I've always heard about mixing foundations, but I never thought to do it with concealer.
I was just like, yeah, I knew about mixing foundations and concealers actually, but I just was like, dude, I'm not gonna pay another $30 or 40 or 50 bucks to buy an extra foundation. I would get so angry every time I would go to Sephora.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you're 2 colors. And I'm just like, let's go with another brand. All right, another tip he gave is eyebrows. So when it comes to eyebrows, he uses a pencil and he likes to use the brush to brush up and basically like naturally line the eyebrows.
So what he's doing is he's creating basically brush strokes to mimic actual pieces of hair. So
yeah, versus just like brow gel or powder where it just gives like that one like, you know, old school tattoo looks.
Yeah. Another thing he likes to mention to use is using your concealer to double up as eyeshadow primer. So while you're doing your concealer, you could blend up into your eyelids. What it also does is kind of give you a baseline for your eyeshadow. So now there's no discoloration between your eyelids and like your under eyes. Everything's the same color, and concealer is actually a really great way to use as a primer to keep your eyeshadow.
I don't know about this. I always have to use primer, and I didn't today. I actually used his method, which was cream eyeshadow and
which we'll get into in a second.
Yeah, and concealer. Yeah. So we'll see if mine lasts all
I'm
day.
used to using primer all the time, so I haven't done just concealer in a while. Let's see.
Another one, like I just mentioned, is cream eyeshadow. He says that it's super important to use cream eyeshadow before you start building your base of your eyeshadow, like powdered eyeshadows. So make sure that you start with cream and then you start applying the colors and build on from there.
And it'll make it last all day.
And then he says it'll last all day.
But we're gonna find out if it does. Another tip that he gave was applying your foundation in an upward motion. We're used to kind of just blending down, right? You blend everything down. He says that Kim doesn't like that. She likes for her neck to feel lifted and more youthful. So he blends in an upward motion when he's blending into her neck. We did that today too. Do we look younger?
All right, guys, we're gonna jump into the video of us actually using his method to apply our makeup, and yeah.
Stay tuned to see.
Let's get to it. So one of Mario's techniques is applying concealer before foundation, which I've never heard of. I'm super nervous about that because like I like that brightening effect for the concealer, but I'm gonna use his technique. One thing that he says is always mix colors, because not one brand is gonna make one color strictly for your skin. So I'm gonna be mixing my concealer. I'm gonna be using the LA Girl Pro Conceal in peach, so it's like a darker color, and that actually lightens my dark circles. And then I'm gonna use the Milk Makeup Flex Concealer. All right. And after we did the video the Sir John method, Beyonce method, I've literally just been using my fingertips for everything. It's so weird applying concealer first. And another method another technique Mario uses is that he says that he applies concealer on the eyelids as well. And as you can see, that's a great tip because your eyelids are so dark and it kind of like blends like this whole area together. And what he says is, in like his 6 techniques, is just like whatever it is, it's like the concealer, the foundation, the eyebrows. Spend time doing those. Those are like the most important parts of your whole makeup, basically. So it's not about just like rubbing concealer on your eyes. It's about really blending it in there and making it look flawless. Okay, so now I'm going, now I would usually bake, but I'm gonna apply my foundation. Oh my God, throwing me off here. Another thing that he says is mix your foundations. Don't use one color because you'll never get the perfect match. I'm gonna be mixing my 2 colors because I feel like I'm like a perfect in between these 2. He says he uses foundation to even out skin tone. Do we see a big difference with the concealer? Using it first? What are we thinking, guys? Ani's nodding, she's like, I think it's actually funny, Ani, she's right behind the camera, she mentioned it that she watched Kim's 73 questions, and in there, like one of the trends that she, like the makeup trends she kind of regrets, right? Regrets?
I was gonna tell that story.
I stole it from you. Is that concealer being like super bright is like not an attractive look. And it's funny because Beyonce's makeup artist said that. And I think you and I have taken that technique.
Yeah, it's made a big difference.
It's made a huge difference. We thought that doing bright under eyes actually like make you look more youthful and brighten up your eyes, when in fact it actually looks like shows off your dark circles basically. Who knew?
Thanks for stealing my story, Nora.
You're welcome. Anytime. Okay, now I'm going to bake and move on to my eyeshadow. If I don't do this lately, my face is so oily and like my pores start looking large. Okay, let's do eyebrows. So for the eyebrows, he says, spend time on your eyebrows and always start by brushing up. And eyebrows, I have to agree with him, is one of the most important things when it comes to makeup, in my opinion. Because sometimes I'll forget to do my eyebrows, I'll just do all of my makeup, and then I'll look at my eyebrows, I'll be like, oh, like your makeup, no matter how good it looks like shit if you don't have your eyebrows done. And back in the day when I was like 18, I never did my eyebrows. So it's like, it was pretty tragic, all my photos back then. Okay. And then he says, basically brush up in upward motion, like strokes. So it kind of looks natural. I usually use powder, so this is like a different technique for me. Doing the brush stroke technique gives like it a way more natural look, in my opinion. What do we think? It's so different from my eyebrows usually. Time for eyeshadow. For eyeshadow, he says, always use a cream eyeshadow before you use actual eyeshadow because it lasts longer and you get more like pigment from the color. So that's exactly what we're gonna be doing. So I apply the cream shadow, now I'm just gonna apply my regular shadow. I'm gonna leave it as a more natural look because I feel like Mario's when it comes to Kim's makeup, he's evolved so much. Like he keeps the eyes like way lighter, like the top eyeshadow part, and he goes heavy on everything else like the foundation, the concealer. So I showed you all of his techniques. I used all of his techniques, and now I'm gonna just clean up my makeup and show you guys the final look.
Let's start with 2 different concealers. Funny enough, I actually used to do this method a few years ago, and then I don't know why I just stopped. So I am not opposed to going back to it. Let's just see how it looks today. And they always say you should blend with your ring finger because it's not gonna apply too much pressure to your under eye, which is already a really sensitive area. And I'm putting some excess up top to act as a primer for my eyeshadow later. Okay, got one. Mix it up a little bit now. Okay, how do I look with just concealer on? Okay, I am gonna move on to my foundation, and again, I'm totally guilty of just using one shade for my foundation, but today I'm gonna mix it up and see if it makes a big enough difference for me to invest the extra money on my already expensive foundation. So I actually just added both colors together, and I'm gonna blend it on my on my hand. And I generally do like to put my foundation on with my hands. I feel like it blends it really, really well. And then I'll go in with a beauty blender afterward. Another thing that he mentioned is that when he's putting foundation on the neck, he always goes from the bottom up. Kim apparently really likes it this way because she feels like it lifts up her chin. So don't go down when you're blending, go up. Okie dokie, baking time. I used to only bake my under eyes, and then I feel like Nora lectures me every time I do that, and she's like, don't you want your makeup to last? So this is for Nora. Okay, I'm gonna move on to my eyebrows, and I'm gonna use the same method as Mario and as Nora showed you guys too. So it's going to be brushing the eyebrows up and then using the tip of the brush to kind of create these actual brush strokes. And I'm using the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil. So just literally mimicking hair strokes and then blending it with the brush. Brush, brush, brush. Another thing that he does is he uses a little bit of concealer and does some fine tuning between where your brow is and your lids are. So I'm also gonna do that. So literally one of these. And this also helps prevent any brow pencil or brow products from leaking down onto your lids. Whoop-de-doo. Eyebrows are done. I'm gonna move on to the cream eyeshadow. I love cream eyeshadows, and I especially love when they have like a light shimmer color to them. And I do like to keep my eyeshadow on the lighter side. So if it has a tad bit of shimmer to it, I feel like it really looks like you went the extra mile to do your eyeshadow. Mario says that if you do cream first and then powder on top, it makes your eyeshadow bulletproof all day. Cool, and now I'm gonna go over it with basically the same color with powder just to kind of like seal it all in. Move on to my under eyes. Okay, I'm gonna complete the rest of my look and show you guys the final result. What do you think of your overall look?
I like it.
Yeah.
I am curious to see if my eyeshadow is gonna last all day. So I think it would be a good idea to do a follow-up for us.
I think so too.
You said my face looks different.
It does look different.
The concealer.
It looks really, really good. I'm totally down with this concealer before foundation method. I think I'm gonna adopt it on my day-to-day.
I still need to take a few photos, a few selfies before I could actually commit.
Which is funny because I'm usually the one that's like, whoa, 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 change, and you're like, let's try it. But I am curious to see if our eyeshadow lasts all day. So stay tuned. We are gonna do a follow-up in like 12 hours. All right, you guys, it's been 12 hours. My foundation has stayed in place. My concealer actually looks amazing. I haven't had any creasing at all on both sides. My eyeshadow is pretty bomb. Nothing came off. I'm totally digging Mario's style.
Hey guys, so it's been way too many hours since I applied my makeup, and my makeup is still actually intact. The only thing I'm a little hesitant about was applying the concealer before my foundation. I think I'm gonna stick to my method, which is probably everyone's method, and that's applying my foundation and then my concealer. But I do love Sir John's method, which is, you know, not to have your concealer super bright and keep it closer to your skin tone, because surprisingly it shows your under eyes to be more glowy versus when it's too bright.